Hello. Don't worry about not having your video on, if it's not working, etc.
Really it's still not working. I don't know what's going on.
Really not a problem though. Don't, unless, you know, obviously it's nice to see you, but don't.
Yeah.
I fully appreciate if you don't want to be seen.
I know, it's more genuinely stopped. I will get it to work at some point.
Yeah, don't worry about it at all. I hope everyone's feeling okay. Do let me know, by the way, in emails or whatever in between sessions, if there's anything that you particularly liked or you want to do more of, etc. So I know obviously we don't have much dialogue in these on-screen ones, whereas in a real life session I would ask you for feedback and what you thought, etc. So please do feel free to tell me if there's anything particularly you want to work on as well, like anything, you know, anything that you need to stretch or strengthen, etc., etc. We're going to start standing. I'm going to start and then I can always just let people in if they arrive late. They may be not coming. So let's bring yourself to a standing position. To adjust my camera so I don't chop my head off. Oh, still chop my head off. So I want you to, especially if you've sort of been moving about quite a lot today or been quite still, either way, we're just going to check in with our static standing posture and really mindfully compile the various components of our body in balance with each other. So starting with the feet, I want you to really lengthen and heavily release your feet down onto the floor and just spread your toes. So lift the toes up and then let them lengthen and soften down. And if you can, close your eyes. Obviously, if you feel dizzy or you don't like having your eyes closed, keep them open, but it's quite a nice way of really being able to organize your body in space, noticing how each part connects to the one below or above it. So from the feet, thinking about the ankle joints, notice whether you feel like you're rolling into the big toe end of the foot or the little toe. And I want you to just gently, consciously release your weight from the outside of the foot to the inside of the foot. So taking just a few moments to kind of almost like you're rolling over a tennis ball, just working through the ankle joints. See how it feels. Obviously don't go into any kind of space if it feels uncomfortable, or if you've got a kind of, if you're going to sprain your ankle, you might have a slight fear of rolling over your ankle, but it's quite a nice way of actively managing that rolling movement. And then settle in a place on the foot where you feel that you're evenly spread between that big and little toe. So we're not rolling in and we're not rolling out. And then consider the knee joints. Have you locked them, or do you need to just ever so slightly soften to lengthen through the back of your legs? And think about lengthening up into the pelvis. So maybe take your hands to that space. Placing the heels of your hands onto your hip bones and let your fingertips just lengthen towards your pubic bone or just across the lower belly. Keeping the eyes closed if you can, just noticing how it feels to connect to that part of your body. Think about seeing if you can gently start to channel the breath down into that space. So if you've been breathing quite kind of unconsciously up until now, I want you to really take a lovely deep low breath in here. See if you can feel the breath in your fingertips expanding, and then breathing out. And then leave one hand there, just take the other one around the back of your pelvis. So either back of the palm or the back of the hand, whichever feels more comfortable. Probably easier to have the back of the hand lengthening into the sacrum, the lower part of the pelvis. And just breathing now. I want you to see if you can imagine the breath going both into the front hand and into the back hand. And how does that feel? Taking 3 or 4 breaths here, just gently allowing the breath to expand forward and back. And you might notice some sensations or awareness around the pelvic floor, and if you do, it's because there's an attachment point at the pubic bone and at the tailbone. So you've got your hands and the fingertips basically releasing towards that space. So you may find, and if you don't worry, but you may find that as you breathe, there's just a little awareness of the pelvic floor. I don't want you to consciously lift or engage or anything, just see if you can kind of breathe into that space, that hammock between the front and the back of the pelvis. And then let the arms release down for a moment, continue to breathe. And then take the hands to the rib cage area. So we're trying to just think about the space that you've just been breathing in. Now I want you to consciously find the breath into the sides of the ribs. So taking the hands around the sides of your rib cage, just really imagine that expanse there. The lungs can reach through the whole of that space inside. Let's breathe into your elbows. And breathe out. So consciously now, as the breath sort of expands, I want you to allow the hands to feel that expansion. We're not pushing it, so opening the arms. I want you to really allow, almost like an accordion widening. And as you breathe out, think about it closing. So can you really feel the rib cage softening and squeezing down, and then breathe in, let it open. Breathe out, close. 2 more like this, in and out, last one. And breathe it out. And then from here, taking your hands around the back of the head. So your elbows are in your peripheral vision, you don't want to be having them too wide, just let them sit there in the corners of your eyes. And your hands are either pressed one hand on top of the other or interlace your fingers, whichever feels better. But take your thumbs and actually allow the thumbs to almost kind of draw the base of the skull up and away from the tailbone. So really think about being able to lengthen, consciously lengthen your head at the end of your spine. And then let the shoulders soften. So let's take a breath in. I want you to reach the shoulders up to the ears. Breathe out, drop the shoulders down. And again, breathing in, lift. And release. 2 more, breathe in to lift. Notice if there's anything else going on around the ribs and the pelvis as you do this. You want to feel that the ribs and the hips stay relatively slow still, so we're not poking forward. And release. Now keeping the arms here, I want you just to open the elbows a little bit as if you're trying to reach to the corners of the ribs. So we're not pinging the rib forward, we're instead imagining the collarbones widening, just a sense of space opening across the chest. And then soften and release. And again, open. And so it's not a very big movement. I just instead want you to think about the broadening, sort of widening the space around the shoulder blades. And release. Last one. Open. And soften, really let those shoulders relax. We're going to take a breath in, staying here. And as you breathe out, we're going to just reach up and over to the left. So we're reaching to the diagonal. See if you can feel that that left side of the waist doesn't collapse down, but instead lifts up and out of those elbows. And then come back through center. Relax the shoulders, breathe in. Breathe out, let's come across and over, really standing strong into that left foot. So we're not kind of leaning Tower of Pisa, lifting the weight away off that foot. We're keeping strong and grounded. And then back through center. So you might feel the waist muscles having to work quite hard here. Let's go twice more, one either side. So 2 more times either side, reaching up and over. And then back through center. Reaching up and over, and really think about that length and height, so you're feeling the crown of the head lifting away rather than tipping to the side. And 1 more either side. Notice if one side feels easier, more stretchy, tighter. Reach up and over, out of your waist. And back through center, leaving the hands where they are. Let's take a breath in. And obviously if you're getting any kind of tightness or sense of tension around the neck and shoulders, take the arms down. But let's see if we can just keep the neck long. Breathing in, and as you breathe out, rising up onto your toes. And soften those heels down, little bend into the knees and ankles. And let's do that 3 times. So lift up and slowly lower and bend. So even if your hands aren't by your head, think about where the back of the head is. So notice if you're allowing it to roll forward. See if we can keep it in line with the back of the spine. even when you're bending. So we're trying not to tilt forward. Last one. A little bend. And then from here, I want you to nod the chin to the chest. Keep the head, keep the knees rather slightly bent. We're going to roll all the way down and then let the arms relax fully at the bottom. So just breathe here. Nod the head yes. Shake the head no. And then when you're ready, rolling up. Think about the front of your body rebuilding. So using the abdominal muscles, almost like someone is pressing your spine up bone by bone. Let the head rebuild on top of the spine. The arms are nice and heavy. Now you might feel a real sense of the shoulders. Sorry, the shoulders on the back of the body now, because we've done so much work with the arms here. So you'll probably hopefully feel a sense of lightness around the neck and shoulders. Let's rise up onto the toes. Release the heels down, little bend, and then nod the chin to the chest. Let's lengthen up, keep that soft bend, keep the tummy lifting up as you roll down. So really imagine the pubic bone almost drawing towards you as you roll forward. And then let the spine fully release at the bottom. Nod the head yes. Shake the head no. And rolling back up bone by bone. We've got one more like that. Head comes back on top of the spine. Shoulder blades soft on the back, so the neck nice and long. You're going to rise up one more time. And slowly lower a little bend. Nod the chin, keep the belly lifting. So you're almost tucking the tailbone underneath you as you roll the spine forward. I want you to really lengthen that lower back. And then release all the way down. Breathing in. Nod the head if you like. Shake the head. And then breathing out, rolling it back up. Lengthening up through the spine. Now we're thinking about that base of support, your toes and your feet. So taking a breath in, as you breathe out, I want you to imagine that all of your weight is funneling down into that right foot. So can you imagine that through the pelvis, down through that hip, knee, ankle, down into all 5 toes as you peel the left foot off the mat and just begin to hover the knee in line with the hip, or just a little bit lower if you feel you need a bit more support. Do come near a wall if you feel that you need to hold on to something. We're just going to tune into our balance and hug that thigh bone in towards you. So notice if you've kind of let the thigh bone kind of drop. See if you can gently hug it in towards your center. Lengthen through the waist. And imagine you're pressing evenly into that right foot. Both sides of the waist long, shoulders relaxed. Breathe. Notice what's going on in this right leg. Are you feeling like the ankle or the hip or the knee? What's kind of working hard to keep you supported? And then let's just bring the knee in deeper towards you, kind of hugging it in towards your chest, and then open it out to the side and down and back up. So we're just circling through the hip. And again, if you need to hold on to anything to keep you stable, then do 3 circles out and then hug it back in. And we're going to go the other way. So just stirring that thigh bone in its socket, working on your balance, but also oiling that hip joint. And last one. And then when you're here, stand that leg back behind you. Coming first into a little calf stretch. So upright through the spine here. Both front leg bent, back leg straight. Sorry, it looks like my back leg is bent because of my leggings. And then I want you to come a little bit more into a hip flexor stretch to sort of check in with the hip after doing that hip work. So we're just going to tuck the tailbone underneath you. You may want to straighten that front leg a little bit even, trying to get the stretch a bit more into the hip. We'll stretch it more when we're lying down, but this is just sort of active stretch. See if you can open up through the front of that hip. And then come back through center, both feet on the floor. Let's rise up onto the toes. Release those heels down, little bend. 2 more like that. So working through both feet evenly. Notice if it feels slightly different because you've worked strongly into that right foot. and then back through center. Let's go to the other side. So imagining the weight funneling down into that left foot. The hip, the knee, the ankle, how do the toes feel? Begin to peel that right foot off the mat. Check in with the waist. Have you automatically leaned, or are you feeling like both sides of the waist are even and long, the hips level? Do you need to hug that thigh bone in towards you rather than letting it drop down? If you need to consciously drop it lower down so that you're not feeling unbalanced, then do. Excuse me. Relax the shoulders. Does this side feel the same or different to the other? Is it already feeling a little bit fatigued from the work that we did standing up before? All these factors, just notice them, how your body feels, how your body reacts to this movement. Now from here, let's open the leg, deepen it, the stretch to bring it, or the flexion to bring it deeper in towards you, and then let's open it out to the side and roll it round. Notice if you've got one slightly crunchy hip compared to the other. I've got a little clicky hip on my left side, but this is the right that I'm trying to mirror you. One more in this direction, then we're going to come back up and hug that knee in and then go the other way. So lengthen it down and around and up. Last one. And then from here, sending that leg back behind you into your calf stretch. So bending the front leg, sending that back leg back. So you should just feel a sort of light, might be quite a strong stretch depending how your legs are feeling today. Stretch into the calf to begin with. You can make it stronger by going against the wall and really kind of leaning into it. It's a nice way to get into those ankle joints. And then we're going to just tuck the tailbone underneath you, send the stretch more into the hip. So again, it's not a very strong stretch necessarily. We're trying just to change that reaction between the hip and pelvis. Breathe. And then stepping back into parallel. Let's just take the hands onto the shoulders. Bring the elbows together, just circle. So we're working a little bit more deeply into the ankle, the armpit kind of stretch area. Especially important if you've been hunching forward today at all. Let's do one more in this direction. And then change, or you can just stay standing with the hands, arms down by your side if it feels like it's in any way. Stressing the neck and shoulder area out. And release the arms down. Let's just circle the ankle. Why? I'm obsessed with ankles today. The wrists. Let's circle the wrists. Trying to really get a sense of almost kind of nervy stretch. Often we really neglect our hands and wrists. I want you to try and work through the fingers, spreading them, making a fist, circle. Change direction. And then shake it out. Shake out the feet, shake out the hands. Particularly good way of releasing tension if you've had a stressful day. A little shaky, shaky. We should learn from our toddlers. So from here, let's come down onto all fours. And to adjust so you can see my mat. See how you're feeling today. Let's just take a moment to organise your spine as if you were standing. So let's think about the back of the head. So I always have a tendency to poke my head up when I'm in four-point kneeling, which I see quite a lot on the video. So I want you just to notice whether you can organise your spine as if you were standing. So the back of the head in line with the shoulder blades, in line with the tailbone. So let's just circle the pelvis a couple of times. Become aware of where you are in space. Relax the shoulders and the back. So we're hugging the bottom rib in and up. So we're not sinking down. I want you to really feel like there's an active connection. You can feel that sense of awareness of working against gravity a little bit with your stabilizing muscles. Let's take a breath in. And as you breathe out, I want you to draw your pelvic floor up and in. So think back passage through to front, that hammock that we kind of talked about before. So we're drawing it up and in against gravity in a different way. You'll feel the lower belly probably drawing in as well, but I don't want you to move the spine. So let's see if we can activate that muscle engagement, but without moving any bones. Breathe in, let it go. Breathe out. Lifting and engaging into your pelvic floor. So really feel that sense of drawing in. You'll probably feel a little bit more engagement around the pubic bone. Try lifting in through the lower belly. And breathing in, let it go. Last one, as you breathe out, drawing up and in. And then I want you to tuck the tailbone underneath you and allow the spine to roll. Breathe in here, breathing out, sending the spine back in the other direction. Maybe a little extension, maybe stay in neutral, whichever feels right for your spine. Let's go again. On the out breath, rolling the pelvis underneath you, lifting from that pelvic floor engagement to initiate. And then breathe in to open. Maybe a soft extension at the end. Last, let's do 2 more. Just rolling and massaging into the spine. And last one. Lovely. Now from here, let's just tuck the toes underneath you. And I want you to roll through the spine, tuck the tailbone underneath you, roll, roll, roll into your cat. And now imagine that someone's just gently pulling you by the waist and the hips to lift your bum towards the ceiling. And we're trying to really feel the tailbone is the highest part of the body. It doesn't matter if the legs don't straighten. What I want you to do is think about the spine releasing. So we don't want to be here. We want to be kind of lengthening the rib cage away, the heart center opens. Doesn't matter if those legs are bent. Breathe. And then lifting up to roll the pelvis back underneath you, coming back into that cat. And then releasing it away. I want you to open your knees quite wide and rest yourself back into your rest position, forehead down. So either with the hands out in front of you, or give yourself a little hug, arms around your legs, shoulders fully relaxed. Just breathing. Notice how long it takes you to be able to soften and let your breath fully release. So we're trying to kind of open up into the hips with the breath, let the tummy soften, let the shoulders relax, let the forehead be nice and soothed against the mat. Breathe. Really see if you can use the breath to kind of open up and massage around the kidney area, around the lower waist, the hips, the bum, the pelvic floor. It's got a nice stretch for that hip, inner thigh space. And then when you're ready, bringing the arms back out in front of you if they're not already. And I want you to bring yourself up onto your elbows and then organize the knees so they're back in parallel. So they might have become a little bit wider. And then from here, check in with that pelvic floor connection. So particularly in this kind of slightly lifted tailbone position, you can feel like there's a kind of opening of the pelvic floor, if you like. And I want you to consciously draw in through the back passage, connect through to the front. So you're nice and lifted and engaged, drawing through the lower belly. From here, you're going to slide your right leg away. And I want you to lift the leg in line with your body. Notice how you feel through the rest of the body. Try and keep heavy and anchored through the palms, the fingertips, and evenly through both elbows. Relax that neck so you're not looking up. We don't want any strain through the neck at all. Bend that knee and flex into the foot as if you're trying to stand on the ceiling. We're going to bring that knee back down and you're going to drive it up towards the ceiling using the buttock muscle. So let's lower it down and press, and down and press. Really feel the bum is working, so you're not waggling your pelvis around, but instead you're using that buttock muscle to open up through the hip. You've got 3 more. Last two, and last one. Lengthen the leg away, keep it there. You're going to bring it in and then reach it away. So we're doing 4 more of these. Keep that thigh bone absolutely still. So the knee is lengthening, the lower leg is reaching, but the thigh isn't moving. Last one. And then bring it down. Rest yourself down so you give your neck a complete break, the shoulders a rest before you go to the other side. Breathe. Let's come back up onto our shoulders. If it is really hard on you don't really like that, you can always come onto the hands if that makes it a little bit easier on the shoulders. So listen to your body and also lower the repetitions if it feels too much. But I want you to see if you can find your weight being lifted through your center rather than heavily relying on the shoulders. So that's why also the neck, you need to kind of tilt through the head to make sure you're not hanging on the shoulders too much. So from here, let's lengthen your left leg away, lift it up in line with the body, bend that leg in and flex the heel. You might find one side feels a little bit less controlled than the other. Let's bring the knee in and press it up. And again, down, press it up. Feel that buttock muscle lifting through the thigh. Lift and through 2 more. Last one. And let's reach the leg away. You're going to bend it in, heel to bum and reach. And heel to bum, reach. Last 3. And reach. Last 2. And last 1. And bring it back down. Rest, rest, rest. Arms around your spine, around your legs rather. Really relaxing into the shoulders. Breathe. And then from here, let's lower ourselves down onto our tummies. Just wiggle your hips around a couple of times to really soften off through the front of the body and the lower back. Let's take our hands quite nice and wide, elbows either side of your mat, depending on how wide your mat is, I suppose. But you want your arms to be kind of like a little cactus shape. Elbows a little bit lower than the shoulders. So your hands are kind of in line with where your nose is. Your thumb is in line with your nose. Wiggle those hips a couple more times. The legs want to be a little bit wider than hip width. So allow them to lengthen out, and you can have them turned out as long as you're not completely laterally opened. I want you just to sort of gently allow the heels to release away from each other. Sorry, towards each other. Let's relax the head and shoulders down. Take a breath in. Now, as you breathe out, think about lifting into your pelvic floor and how that felt when you're in cat position. Notice how it feels here. So I want you to feel a sense of the lower belly lifting and just a sense of connection around the pelvis. We're not gripping the bum. See if you can keep the bum soft and just the pelvic floor active. And then from here, take a breath in. As you breathe out, nod the nose forward. Keep the head in line with the spine, so we're not opening the throat too much. I just want you to gently rise up through the spine. Look over your right shoulder, back through center, look over the left, back through center, and then slowly lower down. Take a breath in. As you breathe out, nod the nose away. Let's lift. Now this time, as you look over to the right, I want you to bend that right foot in. And then lengthen as you come back through center. Let's go the other way. Bend the left foot as you look to the left. And release away. Got one more either side like this. So just bend it in, look. And reach. Bend. And reach. And then lower down. Shaky, shaky with the hips if you need to. Make sure the lower spine is lovely and soft. Take a breath in. One last one. Now this time, as you come up, you're going to look over to the right as you come up, and this time you're going to straighten through that right arm. So you're twisting the whole spine. Make sure both shoulders are soft away from the ear. So we're trying not to crunch that left shoulder towards the left ear. Breathing in, breathing out, lower, roll it down. Other side, as you come up to the left, you're straightening through the left arm, opening through the spine, but keeping this right shoulder really soft away from the ear. So we're not doing this, we're keeping it soft and away, breathing in, breathing out lower. And one last one, we're just going to go through center. So go up as high as you feel comfortable, keeping the spine long so we're not crunching into the lower back. I want you to think length through the hip, opening up through the spine, breathing in, breathing out, roll it down. And then when you're ready, pressing yourself back into your rest position, bottom to the heels, either arms out in front or around, tucked behind you, whichever feels more comfy and soothing for you. And then we're rolling up. Bone by bone, we're going to come all the way down onto our bottoms. So lengthen yourself, feet out in line with your hips, knees nice and bent. If you can, kind of adjust your buttock flesh so that you're as upright as possible on your sit bones. Either hands behind the thighs, so you can use them as a kind of way of connecting into your center, or if you're feeling a little bit more like you want to connect your abdominals more consciously, let's lengthen the arms out but keep the shoulders soft. So imagine the underside of your shoulders connecting into the body rather than the tops being lifted up towards the ears. So let's take a breath in, and as you breathe out, drawing through the center, pelvic floor lift, lower belly, back passage through to front, drawing in through the lower belly, and then let's send the tailbone underneath you. And we're going to just lower ourselves down with control. You can use them, you hold the thighs if you need to. Roll, roll, roll. All the way. Bring the knees closer in towards you. Actually, let's just bring them into your chest, so hug them in. Rolling from side to side. It might be the first time you've laid on the floor today, or it might be multiple times, which is also brilliant. Release the feet all the way down, and let's take the arms, relax them down by your side. Let's try and soften those shoulders back. So first, take the palms up and practice really letting go, letting the armpits, letting the backs of the ribs, everything just soften in towards the floor behind you. Breathe. And as you breathe out, let's see if we can draw in through the abdominals, kind of really cinch and connect into that center, but without moving your spine. So how can you draw in the abdominals without rolling the bones back, maintaining that soft space around the lumbar spine? Breathe in, relax, expand, breathe out, deepen the lower belly, lifting the pelvic floor, drawing in through the abdominals, but like a camera shutter around your spine, cinching rather than pulling the spine back. Let's do one more, breathing in, breathing out. Now try and maintain that active center, maybe not all the way, just let it go a little bit, but keep that sense of the connection with the pelvic floor and the lower belly, the waist area, bringing the arms down by your side. And let's tilt the pelvis on your next out breath, and we're going to wheel the spine up bone by bone. So we're lifting the hips. The rib cage stays soft into the body, so we're not pinging and lifting and arching the back. I want you to feel instead that you're lengthening the spine. Breathing in, breathing out, wheel it down bone by bone. Let the spine fully release, so let those hips completely unlock. So dropping through the pubic bone a little bit, breathing in, breathing out, tuck the tailbone underneath you and wheel up. One by one, breathe in, breathe out. Two more, take a breath in. As you breathe out, wheel it up. Breathing in and out. Last one, breathing in, and as you breathe out, lifting up. We're going to just stay here with the bum lifted, nice and strong through the abdominals, so finding that internal kind of cinch,
float the arms up towards the ceiling, palms facing towards each other. Let's breathe in to open and out. Close. 2 more. In to open, keep the bum lifted. Out to close. Last one. In. And then roll the spine down. When you reach the floor with the bum, send the legs away, send the arms away. So arms and legs reaching in opposite directions. Breathe in, let that space between the ribs and the hips fully inflate. And breathe out. Can you cinch in through the waist and connect that space without kind of dropping the spine, but thinking that you're really connecting through the rib hip area? Breathe in, let it soften. Breathe out. Drawing in through the abdominal, softening the rib cage. Last one, in. And out. And then bring the knees in towards your chest. Again, rolling from side to side. Maybe take hold of the soles of your feet into a little happy baby, or just through the backs of the thighs if that feels more comfortable. And we're just going to pause here for a few moments. If you are near a sofa or a bed, you can drape your legs over that. You don't have to hold them. It's equally restorative to do both, so whichever you feel more comfortable. And just take a few moments to focus in on the breath. So I want you to see if you can allow the weight of your body just to soften down into the floor. And let your exhalation become twice as long as your inhalation. So it may take a while to consciously elongate like that, but see if you can aim for breathing in for a count of 4, breathing out for a count of 8. In for 4, out for 8. So if it feels at any point like you're over breathing, just bring it back, maybe 4, in for 4, out for 6. If it feels like you're running out of breath, don't go to that space, but I want you just to see if you can allow your body to fully immerse or introduce rest and digest to your nervous system. So allowing that out breath to be a signal to your body that you're safe, you're supported. It's time to rest and restore. And when you're focusing on that breath, now just tune into the muscles around your face. So thinking about the space between the eyes, the forehead, the muscles around the eye sockets. Can you just let them relax just that little bit more? Maybe around the jaw. See if you can soften the jawbone. Notice where your tongue is. Relax the cheeks. Think about softening through the throat. Feel soft and supported around the back of the breastbone area, so the center of the chest. And just stay here for as long as you feel supported. Try and maintain that sense of rest and digest before you go to your bed. Thank you for coming tonight, guys. I will share the recording. I know I didn't share last week's, so I will remember to share them both once they've downloaded. Much love.